Continuing from the previous episode 1980. Crack. The void shattered, and a black-shirted man appeared slightly. His thick shoulders directly rested on the delicate body that was attached to Kaylin. A trace of long-lost warmth accompanied by a soft touch made people quite comfortable. Who? You dare to break into the forbidden area of the endless fire zone, you can't find death. Just now, I was silent in the sadness and thoughts, and I was unaware of this sudden breath approaching. Drink coldly. Why? You want to murder your husband? Xiao Yan didn't care. He suddenly opened his hands and embraced Kaylin directly, with a playful sound coming from the corner of his mouth, but in those eyes, too, there was a trace of tears. Xiao Yan. Seeing such a familiar scene, Kaylin's strength slowly dissipated, and Her Majesty's appearance of the past was gone. Like a weak woman with no strength to hold a chicken, threw herself in Xiao Yan's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. I want to go back to Btth2 continent. While crying, he spoke softly, with a rare tenderness in his voice. Obviously, this was the first time Xiao Yan had seen the former high-ranking queen with such a small daughter. When I find Zuner and take her with me, our family of 4 will go back together. Xiao Yan could only secretly stroke Kaylin's long slender hair, comforting. When Kai Lin heard the words, she slowly calmed down, and immediately opened her hands and slowly pressed against Xiao Yan, with an indescribable peace of mind. Kaylin, Yingying, I've worked hard for you these days. Xiao Yan said lightly, and at the same time took Kaylin and Yingying into his arms, and said softly, he knew that the development of the endless fire territory deserved the most credit. It was the 2 of them. Mistress, there are several unidentified powerhouses in the space-time wormhole. They are powerful, and I hope you will deal with them quickly. It wasn't long before this warm feeling lasted for a few minutes. Xiao Yan, before he could do something bad, he was broken by a rushing figure. Okay, you Yanqi. Xiao Yan's head was covered with black lines, and by random sensing he knew that the person who came was Yanqi of the 4-star fighting immortal level. Almost forgot about business. Let's go together. Xiao Yan said with reluctance to let go of his hands. Let's go, Sister Kaylin. Mu Yingying directly held Kaylin's slender hand, and quickly walked outside, even with a hint of anger in her mind. Just now, Xiao Yan actually wanted to take advantage of the sadness of the 2 of them, and most importantly, Xiao Yan actually walked towards Sister Kaylin without attacking him at all. This just asterisk her off. Looking at the beautiful eyes, I found that the area and volume above the 2 are indeed not on the same level, but isn't it just the right feeling to hold a small point? Doesn't it need more space for development? Stunned? Looking at Mu Yingying's angry appearance and Kai Lin's strange appearance, Yan Kai outside the study couldn't help but be confused. What happened to yourself? Senior Yanqi, long time no see. After Shun breathed, Xiao Yan's figure and voice followed them. Xiao Yan? Hello, Xiao Yan. Seeing this, Yan Kai slapped Xiao Yan's shoulder with his broad palm, with such force that it was tongue-in-cheek. Although his brother and sister were rescued by Xiao Yan, Yan Kai only wanted Mu Yingying to find a good husband. How could he think that this guy already had 2 fragrant boudoirs? He couldn't help roaring. Bang bang, the palm of his hand slapped Xiao Yan's shoulder heavily, but there was no direction. Let's go over and have a look. We will welcome some real partners in the endless fire territory. After Xiao Yan finished speaking, he followed directly. Woman, Xiao Yan, if you dare to make Yingying suffer a little, I won't let you go. After Yan Kai finished speaking, he also followed. There is a rather obscure hall in the Serpentine group of Xuanling Mountain. The whole body is dark, and the outside is tightly locked by chains. At this time, the inside is inside. Mother, this is probably the Xuanling continent. Mo Zi looked around behind him and said, Wait a minute. Feng Waner didn't say more. The 8 people stood here quietly for a while. Senior Feng, Xiao Yan, his second daughter, and Yan Kai came here one after another, and Xiao Yan said immediately. This hall is impressively the place where the time-space wormhole of the endless fire territory is located. Only some high-ranking people are qualified to step into this place. Is this the base camp of your endless fire territory? It's not bad. After Shun's breath, Feng Waner's old eyes opened, facing Xiao Yan and said, Obviously the whole picture of this area is already under the perception of her soul power. Nothing to hide. However, the 2 women around Xiao Yan were quite close to Xiao Yan, even extremely ambiguous. Obviously, the relationship was not ordinary. Hey, welcome to the Endless Fire Territory. This is our territory owner, and these two are the two mistresses in the territory. Yan Kai couldn't help but speak when he saw the strange situation. Try to moderate. Yours? Su Shuiying heard the words, her beautiful eyes slowly turned around, and asked Xiao Yan, obviously extremely unbelievable. Xiao Yan nodded lightly. You. Looking at Su Shuiying's slender body, Mu Yinying couldn't help but shouted coquettishly, and her beautiful eyes wanted to eat Xiao Yan raw. Shabu. At the same time, Su Shuiying's figure skyrocketed and flew directly towards the outside world. Obviously there was a trace of sadness in her beautiful eyes. Let's go. Let's talk about business, let her be quiet. Feng Wan'er shook her head gently, and immediately walked outside the hall. Everyone, please. Xiao Yan nodded, and immediately Xiao Yan and the two mistresses, accompanied by the 7 guardians, walked towards the hall together. As for Su Shuiying, she was in a rather bad mood at this time and moved towards Zonling. Leaving the mainland is obviously unacceptable for a while. Although Su Shuiying did not have such a profound love between men and women for Xiao Yan, she was still moved by Xiao Yan's repeated attempts to save her. Now that she learned that human beings are married, she originally had a bit of a relationship. Thinking, this kind of behavior will obviously be laughed at by the world. Of course, Su Shuiying is naturally not so weak, but Xiao Yan is the first man with a trace of heart in her. It takes some time to forget and downplay this kind of thing. On the other side, Xiao Yan and the 3 senior leaders of the Guardian gathered together, obviously preparing to discuss future matters. Tell me, what is the form of Btth continent now? What do you need us to do? Feng Wan'er was the first to speak. Obviously their guardians were on the safe side, and the news and intelligence were already out of touch. Senior Wei Zifeng, now Btth continent, our endless fire territory has dominated the 3rd, and only Douyin continent is left. Senior brought everyone to join us, which is a great blessing for the endless fire territory. With the strong support of the seniors, we will definitely be able to unite the Btth continent as soon as possible. Kaylin smiled, a light filled with indifference. Obviously, as a queen, whether it is her temperament or her words and deeds, it all reveals a faint prestige. Pressure comes from the coercion of a long-standing high position. Really? Then why aren't there any reincarnations in your endless fire territory, even the 8-star fighting immortals? A force of this level is also trying to unify the Btth continent? With your little strength, to challenge Douyin continent is simply a death sentence. You have no idea of Douyin continent's lofty status in the human world and even in the world of Daqin. Since you have no sincerity to welcome our participation. Mo Zi. Qian Rui, let's go. Immediately, a monstrous atmosphere radiated from the old man, and immediately got up and roared. At this moment, a faint 10-color power emerged from Kaylin's body, protecting Xiao Yan and the 3 of them, but when he looked at Feng Wan'er like this, he frowned slightly. Obviously this time, we have met a real opponent. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Please remember this book's first domain name. Tang San Chinese website mobile version reading website. Continuing from the previous episode 1981. Senior Feng, don't be too busy to get angry. Feeling this terrifying power, Xiao Yan smiled slightly, and immediately the aura of holy flame emerged from his body, calming the atmosphere in the hall. Obviously, what Feng Wan'er said, did not unreasonable. Endless fire territory? Without the 8-star Do Xian or even Samsara, your power is as ridiculous as playing a family in the eyes of the powerhouses in Douyin continent. Feng Wan'er sneered, and immediately stared at Xiao Yan. To tell the truth, our forces are indeed scarce in top combat power now, similar to the strong ones like Senior. Xiao Yan said, and there was also a feeling of thirst for talent in his voice. Obviously Xiao Yan also knew that it was one thing to agree, and another to join. Xiao Yan, although we've cleared up our past suspicions, don't you think I don't know what you've done to my beloved disciple? Now that you're grief-stricken, don't you really think we'll join you? There are many powerful people on Douyin continent. You should have known when the Guardian enchanted. Each of the 7 ancient clans has an elder who touches reincarnation, and the Holy See has a multi-winged angel. Strength is definitely not something you can resist. I can't see any hope in the endless fire domain. So listen to my advice, you should disband the endless fire territory as soon as possible. Feng Wan'er shook her head, Her voice was firm and unpleasant. You! Mu Yingying and Kalin immediately frowned when they heard the words. Obviously, this was the first time someone had dared to disobey them in front of them, but because of the old man's terrifying strength, they could only mumble secretly. Senior's words are very. I wonder what Senior's opinion is? Xiao Yan heard the words, and the last trace of anger in his heart dissipated. Obviously, what Feng Wan'er said now is not without reason, and it is the biggest problem facing the Endless Fire territory. Feng Wan'er actually said a word, making Xiao Yan feel a little ashamed. Haha, it's quite a bit bold. Feng Wan'er looked at Xiao Yan in surprise. She said such vicious words, but she didn't provoke Xiao Yan. It seems that this guy is far beyond her imagination. Also a true general. Senior, please point me in the direction. Xiao Yan said respectfully. Be proactive. And now that the bodies of the deceased elders of the Yan clan, Lei clan and other races have been stolen, I am afraid that the Douyin continent is also turbulent now. They are too busy and have no time to deal with you. This is your chance. As for the headquarters of Endless Fire territory, we old bones will take charge of you personally, but in terms of attack, we will not take action, you can only find another way. Feng Wan'er also secretly said after thinking for a while. Now that the extremely serious situation and predicament have been broken, it is not good to lose their temper, otherwise they will really be homeless. Okay, I'm tired, let's go down and rest. After saying this, Feng Wan'er turned around, slowly shoved the jade staff, and tried to leave here. Senior, we will send you. If Xiao Yan realized something, he immediately placed the guardians in a rather obscure place in the temple. This kind of thing was listed as the top secret of the Endless Fire domain, and there were very few people who knew it, so it was endless. The fire area is also quietly maintaining its order. With the addition of Feng Wan'er's 7 people, the 2 Samsara and the digital 8-star fighting immortals, Xiao Yan was completely relieved at the rear base camp, but the most serious difficulties at the moment were still waiting for Xiao Yan to deal with. Time hurried. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye, and for 3 days, Xiao Yan and Kalin Mu Yingying did not distinguish between day and night. They did not do anything else, but told Xiao Yan all the countless things that had happened recently in the Endless Fire territory. To make suggestions for the development of Endless Fire territory, after all, Xiao Yan is the real domain lord of Endless Fire territory. And after listening to the development of Endless Fire territory over the years, Xiao Yan also felt a trace of self-blame in his heart and couldn't help feeling guilty. Zuner is probably in retreat in the forbidden area of the ancient clan. I have inquired several times and tried to contact Gu Yuan, but they were all driven out by the people of the ancient clan. It seems that they did it on purpose. According to my guess, there may be something wrong with the ancients. In Xuanling Mountain, a quiet and elegant back mountain, in the pavilion, the 3 people of Kalin appeared here one after another. The corners of their mouths wriggled slightly, and said, "The ancients are retreating in the forbidden area?" Xiao Yan frowned when he heard the words. Obviously he had never heard of this. Zuner. Mu Yingying curled her lips slightly when she heard the words. Obviously, after hearing this sweet name, her delicate body was slightly shocked, and she was actually a little afraid of it. After all, Mu Yingying also divided the love that was originally divided into 3 parts. From a woman's point of view, they were enemies. It's alright. Mu Yingying's subtle changes naturally couldn't escape Xiao Yan's perception, and she immediately put Mu Yingying's delicate body in her arms and comforted her. In a short while, I am afraid that one of the 7 ancient races, the Medicine Clan, will hold the Medicine Clan Holy Meeting to announce the supreme medicinal refining skills of the Medicine Clan to the world. After Shun breathed, Kalin said slightly. Medicine Clan Holy Meeting? Xiao Yan murmured, and he had a headache for a while. It seemed that both the medicine refining technique and the battle formation master had stopped for a long time. The Medicine Clan Holy Meeting is a major event in Douyin continent. You can go and participate. Maybe you can find the information about the sorcery of the Soul Temple you mentioned earlier, and the Medicine Clan will also set up a large auction. There should be some strange things. Kai Lin analyzed Xiao Yan like a housekeeper. Let's go. Mu Yingying raised her head again at this time, and said with a happy face. Oh, it's hard for you. Xiao Yan could only helplessly shake his head. Let's set off tomorrow. The Endless Fire territory is protected by several guardians. There will be no major incident in a short time, but now it is probably the problem of Douyin continent. Your top priority now is to go to the ancient clan to bring Zuner back as soon as possible. Kalen said solemnly. Yep, by the way, is there any news about Senior Zhu-kun? Xiao Yan nodded, but couldn't help but ask. No, it seems that no news about him has been found since Po Kong, but the soul power above the soul jade is still strong and should be fine. Kai Lin also shook his head, apparently ignorant of Zhu Kun's news. By the way, before you leave, remember to be careful with the Holy See. Mu Yingying reminded as if she had remembered something. What's going on? Xiao Yan asked. I don't know. The powerhouses in the Holy See have already suspected us of the fall of the traveling angel, but there is no conclusive evidence. And when I was sent to How High Continent, I heard that the Holy See's Son of Light seems to have some unreasonable thoughts about the ancient saints, but the specifics are not clear. Mu Yingying spoke intermittently, and these news were also heard by her. Yep, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'll leave the endless fire territory to you. When I bring Zuner back, I'll start looking for a way to tear the plane and go home. Xiao Yan said with a hearty smile, his voice filled with a voice. Strong nostalgia. The two girls nodded. So have you decided? Who will serve the husband tonight? Let's say, the two of you. After taking a breath, Xiao Yan's cheeks turned out to be a bit of ecstasy. It's beautiful, Sister Kalen said. Don't even think about it until Sister Zuner comes back. Just when Xiao Yan's body overflowed with energy and was about to put the two delicate people in his arms, the gazebo in the middle, only a rather playful and light voice was left. Oh, what are some aunts? Xiao Yan couldn't help complaining with black lines all over his head. Please remember this book's first domain name. Tang San Chinese website mobile version reading website. Continuing from the previous episode 1982. Douyin continent. Its status is probably no less than one of the cores of countless continents in the human world, and it has the existence of the 7 ancient clans that are quite famous in the world. Adding the Holy See, I am afraid that other realms are difficult to compare with it. This is an extremely fertile area. There are some villages around it, and the smoke is still lingering, but somewhere there is an avenue of clouds looming. Through the avenue of clouds, you can vaguely see a distorted void, standing in the sky. That is the ancient world, where the ancient tribes lived for generations. At this time, in the endless mountain range, a black-shirted man, with a heavy ruler behind him, was walking slowly towards the depths of the clouds. This person is Xiao Yan, and this guy was chased out by Kalen Mu Yingying and the two, saying that he should bring Zuner back as soon as possible. But it was a coincidence that the time-space wormhole also directly came to the boundary of Douyin continent, and according to the guidance of intelligence, came to a land dozens of miles away from the ancients. The ancient clan seems to have been closed for decades. It is said that the saintess with extraordinary talents in the clan were born. They tried to cultivate the saints with the strength of the whole clan, and suddenly cut off all contact with the outside world. However, the ancients have always had unwritten rules since ancient times. Every other year, on the 15th day of the first lunar month, a summit will be held to welcome countless vassal races to visit the ancestors of the ancients and outsiders to observe. This kind of rule set by the ancestors, even after closing the clan, cannot be resisted, so it has been continued. Simply today is the day of the peak. As long as you can cross the cloud road and enter the peak, you will be able to challenge the 7 elders of the ancient clan. Once you defeat the 7th elder of the ancient clan, it is enough to propose a not too excessive proposition with the ancient clan. Conditions, and made an exception to join the ancient clan. This kind of attractive bargaining chip has attracted countless people. After all, a fighting technique or magical medicine is a drop in the bucket for the ancients, but they can become members of the ancients through challenges and enjoy this. The protection shrouded by the Big Mac kills 2 birds with 1 stone, which also makes every climber overcrowded. Hey, I didn't think it would take so much trouble to see my wife. Xiao Yan looked up and found that the deep cloud had begun to creep slowly. Obviously, this was the road to the peak, and that kind of black crowd made it difficult for him to move. Xiao Yan once doubted its authenticity. Now Xiao Yan has slightly covered his appearance so that ordinary powerhouses can't find it, and even lowered his aura to the level of the early stage of the 6-star fighting immortal. Xiao Yan had no choice but to resort to this. After all, not everyone is as powerful as Xiao Yan. No, it's just hard work and long-term wandering on the edge of life and death to gain strength. Zhu! With a sound, Xiao Yan ran quickly, heading directly towards the gathering place of Yundao. The cloud path converged on the top of a mountain peak, and in an instant, countless clouds turned into ripples, and immediately from the top of the mountain, a cloud of stairs emerged, a distance of 1,000 meters, suddenly connecting the ancient world. Outside the ancient world, 7 looming peaks appeared at the end of the cloud road. Among the 7 peaks, all the elders of the ancient clan guarded here, and also selected the outstanding seedlings for the ancient clan to join them. However, the ancients still have prejudice against these outsiders. Even if they are talented, they cannot become the core members of the ancients. After all, without the existence of the blood of the ancients, it is very easy. However, even this does not affect the enthusiasm of countless people trying to join the ancient clan today, because being able to join such a giant family is a promising future. After the rest, there were tens of thousands of people standing in an empty square at the top of the mountain. They stared at the 7 mountain peaks at the end of the Yundao stairs, and their strengths also ranged from 1-star fighting immortal to 5-star fighting immortal. Master, here. After a while, the 2 men in strange costumes slowly parted from the crowd, and then the attendant behind him couldn't help but say, "Forget it. Don't worry about it." The handsome man smiled when he heard the words, staring at the end of the cloud road. This person is Lu Hao, the son of light in the Holy See. Now the Holy See has entrusted many things to him, but he ignored the mystery of the fall of the traveling angel and sneaked out with an attendant. Peak. As long as you can succeed, you can propose the qualification to let yourself step into the forbidden land of the ancient clan, and then you can go to find the lover of your dreams. When I think of that fairy who does not eat the fireworks from the world, there is no trace of it for several years. The news made Lu Hao feel itchy. I have read countless women, but I have never seen such a beautiful woman, so I want to get her no matter what. Hey, let it go, it's in the way. When Lu Hao's eyes flashed with some evil thoughts, a rather lazy man slowly hit Lu Hao and said softly, "You're courting death?" Seeing this, the attendant around Lu Hao couldn't help roaring. His fist contained a very strong wind, whizzing away at him. Crackling. The seemingly fierce fist stopped suddenly when it hit Xiao Yan all over the body. "Come back." Seeing this, Lu Hao frowned, and immediately shouted, "Let's start, Dongfeng Yundao." Not long after, when the tense atmosphere was going on, I don't know who said a word. Suddenly, the whole square was full of people's voices, and countless figures rushed towards the Yundao stairs one after another. On, the breath of the Holy See. I always feel that something is not right. Xiao Yan did not move rashly, but stood quietly in the same place, looking at the locust-like crowd above the sky, shaking his head. However, just now, Xiao Yan intentionally hit Lu Hao, and the magic cube, which had been silent for a long time in Xiao Yan's body, was touched in the slightest. This kind of feeling, I am afraid that only the traveling angels can have it. It seems that this guy's status in the Holy See is extremely high, and even his unpredictable strength is also heart-pounding. Boom! When countless figures stepped on the stairs of the cloud road and ran up, one after another angry thunder emerged from the sky, slashing at these guys without reservation, and suddenly a mourning sound emerged. Not good. After a while, the originally sturdy Yundao stairs suddenly disintegrated, and the climbers turned pale in shock, and immediately there was no hesitation, a coercion and gravity directly suppressed them. The body, falling towards the foot of the mountain. Crash! Some powerhouses were so embarrassed by this sudden scene. Giant pits appeared under the mountain peaks. What's more, they were so weak that they were directly smashed into flesh by this mysterious force. Quite shocking. It seems that the so-called Dongfeng Yundao is not so easy. I am afraid there is another mystery. Seeing this, Xiao Yan smiled relievedly, then turned around handsomely, and followed directly. Afterwards, Lu Hao and the others followed, but among the dozens of people behind him, there were actually quite a few powerful people, and there were even some auras that Xiao Yan didn't notice. That kind of breath is like the strong ones in Sin, but I don't know what they are doing this time. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Please remember this book's first domain name. Tang San Chinese website, mobile version reading website. Continuing from the previous episode 1983. Crash! Xiao Yan's footsteps just stepped up, stepping on the illusory and transparent cloud path stairs. A rather unreal touch appeared, causing him to frown. Because Xiao Yan clearly discovered that the originally solid Yundao ladder actually became illusory when he stepped on it, and even showed signs of laxity. I am afraid that his body will collapse in an instant after leaning on it. If so, it will undoubtedly fall directly like those guys before. Peeved. Before Xiaoyan's doubts settled down, rage and thunder uncontrollably appeared all over Xiaoyan's body, with a monstrous momentum, accompanied by the gravity of tens of thousands of kilograms of boulders pressing down on his body. The pressure suddenly increased. "Let's go," Xiaoyan said in a deep voice, and immediately launched the hot blast technique, trying to directly step over the Yundao ladder at an extremely fast speed. So miserable? The next moment, Xiaoyan found that every step was extremely difficult. Even with the blessing of the explosive technique, it was extremely slow, and even the countless figures in front of him staggered and fell directly, which was quite miserable. Crash! With a sound, 7 mountain peaks were lined up in sequence at the top of the Yundao ladder, and a coercion swept out. What the asterisk is going on here? Xiaoyan looked at the Yundao ladder, but instead of moving rashly, he retreated. It seems that this cloud path will swallow up the vindictive energy that restricts them, making them like the most ordinary mortals who can only climb with the most primitive strength. Hey! After Shunshi, Lu Hao and the two were bathed in soft white light, their figures rioted, and they went straight to the sky with the momentum of thunder, causing countless people to secretly slap their tongues, as if there was a rare touch of light outside them. Power exists, and it is only from the torture of this power. Oh, there are people from the Holy See, it's interesting and interesting. A sly man hidden in the crowd laughed maliciously, and a touch of evil power in the depths of his body actually gave off a rather greedy taste. His eyes involuntarily passed through the endless ancient world, looking at the ancient sacred land, where it seemed to be his purpose. 7 stars fighting immortals? Xiaoyan frowned. Obviously, just when Lu Hao's strength emerged, the pressure of 7 stars fighting immortals swept out, making Xiaoyan quite surprised. The Holy See powerhouse, 7-star fighting immortal, and so young, I am afraid his status is quite high. Boom! After the blink of an eye, a group of strong men also followed Lu Hao's method, wrapped with soul power, and lightly embellished their toes on the stairs of Yunning, heading towards the 7 peaks of Yunning. Hoo! I'm afraid there is still room in these 7 peaks, and the guardian strength among them does not seem to be too low. Don't care. Xiaoyan did not hesitate, and one jumped directly into it. Above the 7 mist-shrouded peaks, countless mysterious powers surround, slowly suspended outside the ancient world, protecting and guarding the ancient world, and also the ultimate guardian of the summit this time. The 7 peaks are arranged from low to high, and the strength of the guarding figures inside them is also from low to high. Among the first peaks, the place is lush and green, surrounded by bamboo forests, and one of them is a rather young man sitting slowly. It seems that this guy is the guardian of the first peak. 3 stars fighting immortals? Xiaoyan couldn't help frowning as he looked at the rather young man in front of him. Your Excellency, this is the 7 peaks of our ancient clan. If you don't have enough strength to step into this place and challenge us, you will only have life and death, and there will be no way out. I hope Your Excellency will consider it carefully. The young man smiled slightly, and said with a serious face, the warning in his voice was quite obvious. Let's do it, Xiaoyan responded with a blank expression. Obviously, the so-called Qifeng was not as terrifying as Xiaoyan imagined. Originally, Xiaoyan thought that among the 7 peaks, there were probably some people with high morals and respect. With the background of the ancient clan, I am afraid that at least they started with 5-star fighting immortals. Who knew that the first peak actually only had 3-star fighting immortals? From this perspective, I am afraid that the 7 peaks only need to be afraid of the last 2 peaks. Of course, among the 7 peaks, the strength of each peak is very different. Climbers, register your name. The young man slowly stroked his body and smiled lightly. Xiaoyan's voice just fell, and with a wave of his hand, a flat arc of fire drifted past. The terrifying destructive power made the young man's face change slightly, and a flash of horror emerged, but he came to the man's side and stopped. After coming down, all Xiaoyan needs to do now is prestige, and naturally there is no need to kill. Can I enter the 2nd peak? Xiaoyan asked, looking at the astonishment on the young man's face. Xiaoyan, the young man muttered slightly, and immediately waved his palm. A void appeared in front of him, which was obviously the entrance of the 2nd peak. Zhu! Seeing this, Xiao Yan turned into a splendid arc of fire and stepped into it suddenly. Xiao Yan, is this the so-called Xiao Yan that the Holy Maiden said before her retreat? The Holy Sea's son of light. Xiao Yan, I'm afraid that the last peak, some people have played. The young man smiled slowly. He obviously remembered Xiao Yan's identity and Lu Hao's madness. Real contest. Crash. At the same time, Xiao Yan passed 5 levels and cut 6 generals all the way, and easily even broke 5 peaks and walked towards the 6th peak. The first peak, Samsung Do Xian. The second peak, 4-star Do Xian. The third peak, the 5-star Fighting Immortal. The fourth peak, the 6-star Fighting Immortal. The fifth peak, 7 stars Fighting Immortals. And this so-called 6th peak, unsurprisingly, I am afraid it will be the real 8-star Do Xian. In addition to the fact that Xiao Yan must conceal his holy flame, dealing with the real 8-star Do Xian will obviously be more difficult than before. Difficulty, of course, this is also a kind of training Xiao Yan has for himself. If he can fight against the real 8-star Fighting Immortal without using the power of Holy Flame, then adding the power of Holy Flame, I am afraid that such combat power. What about people? Xiao Yan just stepped into the space of the 6th peak, looked around, but did not find any human figures, and couldn't help muttering. The 6th peak, the space here has already presented a sea area, and Xiao Yan is now on top of a reef in a deep sea area. The surrounding stormy waves are surging and suffocating. Haha. Are you one of those guys who have broken through the 5 peaks in a row? Just when Xiao Yan was puzzled, the blue water around him slowly burst, and one of the middle-aged men appeared, slightly with a smile. He opened his mouth immediately, and there was an extremely terrifying aura in his voice. Water Elemental Celestial Seed, 8-star Fighting Immortal's initial strength. Seeing this, Xiao Yan looked at the black-haired man in front of him. From him, he really felt an oppression. Obviously, the water attribute controlled by this guy was actually it is more powerful than Xiao Yan, who does not use the fire of Holy Flame. This is unprecedented. However, after a brief hesitation, Xiao Yan's eyes became more and more fiery, because Xiao Yan believed that even if he did not use Sheng Yan, he would still have the power to fight against the 8-star Do Xian in the early stage, and now Xiao Yan is very strong. I want to see how consummate the various powers that I have controlled before have reached the level of perfection. Please remember this book's first domain name. Tang San Chinese website mobile version reading website. Continuing from the previous episode 1984. The will is good, but it's a pity that the initial strength of the 6-star Fighting Immortal is too weak. The middle-aged man slowly raised his hand, and the countless water curtains around him turned into water pillars, facing Xiao Yan, who was on the reef with the power of lightning. Blast away. Their guardians are naturally to defeat and block these peak breakers, so every time they attack, they will leave no room. Good come, fighting soul. Xiao Yan snorted coldly when he saw this, and a huge fire attribute Do Qi emerged, accompanied by a phantom of the undead king of the Nether Sparrow. The gigantic soul shadow of the king of undead sparrows was on Xiao Yan's body, and an extreme sense of heaviness permeated, and even the fiery red big celestial seed Fei Yan echoed the power of the king of undead sparrows, bringing Xiao Yan together. The body set off like a strange red-gray appearance. Fighting soul? The middle-aged man was slightly surprised. Obviously, the tyranny of the fighting soul was obvious to all, but in the entire Great Thousand World, there were very few strong people who were willing to take the time to hunt. Qi Cheng Qi, the soul shadow of the king of the undead sparrows fluttered his wings as if he had spirituality, and the countless bird feathers behind him fluttered and fell off. The red-gray flames intertwined on them, and instantly roared away at the countless water columns. Boom boom boom. The two touched, setting off an earth-shattering explosion in midair, and the scorching temperature dropped. The temperature of the entire sea area unconsciously increased a lot. Oh! Seeing Xiao Yan's sharp response, the middle-aged man couldn't help but smile. He has been guarding the 6th peak for hundreds of years, and he has read countless people, but he has never met a guy as smart as Xiao Yan, and he couldn't help but become interested for a while. After all, if Xiao Yan became a member of the ancient clan by breaking through the barriers, even if he could not become a core member, but according to his talent, his achievements in the future would be limitless. On the other hand, these peak guards would also gain a lot of benefits. Senior, let's be honest, this junior came to the ancient clan this time, not to join the ancient clan, but to find someone. Seeing the cherishing of talent in the pupils of the middle-aged old man, Xiao Yan also stopped. Asked, the tyrannical power of the soul allows Xiao Yan to clearly detect some subtle changes in the hearts of others. The middle-aged man's name is Gu Qingfeng. Looking for someone? Gu Qingfeng heard the words, his expression darkened, and he asked with some doubts. The ancient clan has been closed for a long time and has not been in contact with the outside world. This guy actually said that he was looking for someone? Junior came here to find a senior named Gu Yuan. I don't know if senior Gu Qingfeng knows? Xiao Yan continued. Originally, Xiao Yan was going to ask Zuner directly, but after weighing it, he retreated and asked for it, and this is the scene. Gu Yuan? Boy, who are you, Gu Yuan? Hearing Xiao Yan's words, Gu Qingfeng was shocked and lost his voice. Gu Yuan is my father's friend. I came here to pick them up, Xiao Yan said, but vaguely sensed something wrong from Gu Qingfeng's strangeness. Boy, I originally missed your talent and wanted you to join the ancient clan, but you have bad intentions. If that's the case, then you can only die. After the breath, the smile on Gu Qingfeng's face softened. It subsided slowly, replaced by a strong killing intent. Senior, what are you? Xiao Yan obviously sensed something, but the play was naturally going to be a full set, so he couldn't help but be surprised. What you are asking is the top secret of the ancients. Those are not things you should know. Okay, it's time for you to hit the road. As soon as the voice fell, Gu Qingfeng's body was surrounded by waves and ripples, and a dazzling attack was brewing. Are you quasi-immortal art? But it's useless to me. Seeing this, Xiao Yan waved his big hand, and the fiery red flames on his body were instantly replaced by amber flames. Immediately, a strong aura that surpassed heaven and earth emerged. Holy flame? The late stage of the 7 stars fighting immortals? Gu Qingfeng said in a trembling voice, seeing the changes in Xiao Yan's body in front of him. Tell me, where are Gu Yuan and Gu Zuner now? Xiao Yan was at a height below zero, and the holy flame realm completely wrapped this place to prevent any power from spilling out. Gu Yuan is now imprisoned. Not only Gu Yuan, but even all the henchmen of Gu Zuner's master, Btth2 and others, are now under house arrest in the ancient prison. At this moment, the majestic fighting spirit in Gu Qingfeng's body dissipated, said with trembling hands. What about her? Xiao Yan frowned, obviously with a trace of anger. The amber flame on his body twisted violently, as if he could easily end his life at any time. Gu Zuner is very talented, but it hasn't appeared since entering the Holy Land a few years ago. I don't know if he is inheriting the power of inheritance or... Gu Qingfeng felt that he was so close to death for the first time. It seemed that Xiao Yan, the amber flame on his body, is enough to easily destroy his body and spirit. Is there any way to go to the Holy Land or enter the ancient prison? Xiao Yan asked. Entering the Holy Land requires the keys of the 3 elders of the clan. If you want to steal it, it may be more difficult than ascending to the sky, but you can go to the ancient prison, because the peerless heavenly emperor controls another way to enter the Holy Land. It's just, at this moment, Gu Qingfeng also seemed to be hesitant to say anything. Just what? Xiao Yan's soul power has been watching Gu Qingfeng's soul and found that there has been no change, so he believes what he said. Otherwise, once a normal human lies, there will be slight fluctuations in soul power. Today's ancient clan is no longer as tyrannical as it used to be. It seems to be sick, Gu Qingfeng said in a strange way, and his voice was full of gloomy meaning. Sick? Xiao Yan murmured, but he turned out to be somewhat unconvinced. Among the ancients, there are reincarnation powerhouses in charge. Who would dare to have some other ideas for such a behemoth? Yes, the ancients are sick. Actually, the patriarch of the ancient clan and the elders in the clan were quite caring for Gu Yuan and others at first, but after they returned from running errands, their temperament changed drastically. After they came back, they released a series of extremely absurd clan rules. Immediately, many direct descendants in the clan were imprisoned in ancient prisons, and the whereabouts and behavior of the patriarch and the elders seemed to have changed. Gu Qingfeng, he said intermittently, his voice full of doubts. Then you? Xiao Yan said as if he remembered something. The clansmen in the ancient world and the strong people in the clan, those who disobeyed the orders of the patriarch, were imprisoned in the ancient prison, and they will be released after a long time. Whether it is strength or temperament, it is like a different person. As for where we are in outside the ancient world, there is no impact. Gu Qingfeng said, "It seems that this ancient clan may have gotten into something unclean." Xiao Yan heard the words, nodded slowly. The demon cube inside his body actually became greedy. It seems that there is something in this ancient world that is as evil as it is. Breath. That kind of aura can only be possessed by a true alien race. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. Please remember this book's first domain name. Tang San Chinese website, mobile version reading website.